Okay,
Thank you, Lama Kathy. Without further ado, let's go on. Since we've been saying, don't waste time. So let's look at the next song. Page 19. This is chapter 40. A story that it's connected with Lengong River. So the story goes, the practitioner Lengong stayed alone in mountain retreats meditating, and a special realization arose. He went to offer his realization to Jizun, who was pleased and said, "That is excellent, since you still must have these things to adopt and abandon until you attain enlightenment, understand them." And he sang the song of realization. So let's hear what he has to say about what to adopt and abandon. So he says, a son, a wife, and trying to please. These three are the bonds of the yogi. Oops, I think a lot of us get hit by this one. Yeah, so these are the things that bind us to samsara. And that is why in the past, Khenpo Rinpoche used to say, if you are a serious practitioner, the best thing is to be single. The second best is, okay, you can get married. And the third is, okay, you get married and you have children. So, I mean, the more involved you're in samsara, the more difficult it is to actually have time to practice. So here's, in along that line, Milarepa also says the same thing, son and wife and children, trying to please them and support them. This is the bond of the yogi. Dhamma practitioners must abandon these. Goods, wealth, and arrogance, these three are the obstacles of the yogi. Dhamma practitioners must abandon them. So we normally think, oh, the more we own, the more secure we would feel, and the more wealth we have, the better we will be. And because of the wealth, we become arrogant. These actually are all obstacles to the yogi. So actually, just like Khenpo Rinpoche used to say, a lot of the things that are taught in Dharma are contrary to traditional beliefs, the beliefs that people hold dear to. So we see clearly now here, as was sung by Milarepa, the things that people hold dear are exactly things Milarepa wants to let go and stay away. And we would think, well, I'm not a yogi, I can't do what he did, and I can't really agree with what he said because it doesn't apply to me. Well, that may be true, and I can understand that, but I think Milarepa has a very, very high bar. It's something only very extraordinary practitioners can accomplish and can reach. So we can sell a slightly lower bar or medium bar, for ourselves. I think that's completely acceptable. But at least we have him to look up to as an inspiration, as the ultimate aspiration. And who knows, someday we may become somewhat like him, because of our aspiration. And it is because of Milarepa's words and his life example that the Gammakaji has produced thousands and thousands of yogic practitioners who meditate in solitary retreats in the mountains. So it was all because of Milarepa. So I think as we sing his songs and read his words, I hope that we'll get closer to what he wishes us to do. Okay, so the next line says, close ones, benefactors, and disciples, these are what discouraged the yogi. Again, maybe as monastics, sometimes we want to have benefactors, or if we're a lama, for example, we want to have disciples, and we think that is normal, but in the mind of Milarepa, he says these things discourage the yogi. They're no good, until you're really up there, you shouldn't think of these things. Dhamma practitioners must abandon these. Liquor, fatigue, and sleep, these three are the bandits of the yogi. Dhamma practitioners must abandon these. Liquor, of course, if we have taken the lay vows and taken them from Kimbakara Rinpoche, he always required the liquor as one of the vows never to consume. Fatigue and sleep, they rob of us of our precious time and therefore our precious life. So they're bandits of the yogi. Chatting, laughing, and entertainment, these three are the distractions of the yogi. Dhamma practitioners must abandon these. So we certainly spend enough time, chatting and entertaining ourselves. Distractions are to be avoided. The guru, key instructions, and faith, these three are the foundations for the yogi. Dharma practitioners must adopt these. So those were the things to be abandoned. Now things to be adopted. The guru, their instructions, and faith in them. These we must develop and adopt. Solitary places, good companions, and provisions. These three are the walking stick of the yogi. Again, consistent in all his songs. He wants his students to stay in solitary places and meditate. But then, he said, good companions. Though, that's for people who can't really go into solitary retreat. Then they should have good companions, good Dharma friends, and have provisions for their day-to-day practice. So Dharma practitioner must adopt these. Non-distraction, non-thought, and bliss. These three are the spouse of the yogi. Dharma practitioners must adopt these. So non-distraction, non-thought, and bliss, these are experiences that naturally arise in the mind of the practitioner when their practice is at a certain level. So these experiences, in the words of Milarepa, are the spouse of the yogi. You don't need a real spouse, a physical spouse, because these experiences are very blissful. When you are able to rest in non-distraction and non-thought and experience bliss that is beyond any kind of worldly bliss, then that is better than any spouse can provide you. So that is the spouse of the yogi. Relaxation, spontaneity, and naturalness, these three are the demeanor of the yogi. Dharma practitioners must adopt these. This is again talking about Mahamudra, the practice of Mahamudra, relaxation, which is absolutely essential in the practice of Mahamudra. The mind must be relaxed, the body and mind both. And spontaneity, which is referring to non-fabrication of the mind, the naturalness of the mind, resting in that. That is the demeanor of the yogi. Then lastly, non-attachment, non-aggression, and higher perceptions. These three are the yogi signs of the path. Dharma practitioners must adopt these. So things to abandon are quite obvious and there's, definitely a good reason to abandon the things that he mentioned. And things to adopt, maybe at some level, it's a little difficult to adopt because, meditation such as the experience of Mahamudra and the meditation Mahamudra, it's something you want to try to practice, but you can't really say, I adopt these. What it means is this is what I want. This is what I want to own and experience. And if this is what I want, then it goes without saying these other things I must abandon. Otherwise, I can't really get what I really, truly, truly want. So this is a song. Thus he sang. Lingam said, by the kindness of the Jetsun, I have abandoned all these things to be abandoned. And by doing so, I have implicitly adopted these things to be adopted. Thank you for making it so that I'm always happy. The Jetsun replied, son, that is it. He's very, very kind. When he talks to his students, he always says son or daughter. He really regards them as his own child. A yogi who maintains everything that should be abandoned and adopted is always happy and well. If you turn from them, you will always suffer. And that is so true. If you reverse what is to be adopted and what is to be abandoned, you will always suffer. The dividing line between happiness and misery is in what to adopt and abandon. So right now, most people's lives, even as practitioners, we actually adopt what is to be abandoned. We adopt, a family life. We adopt ownership of many worldly material things. We adopt, pleasure and entertainment, all these things we adopt. And when it comes to practice, we don't really adopt it. Maybe we spend a little bit of effort, and time, not so much. That is how we prioritize our activities in our life. So at this point, after singing all these songs and reading the words of Milarepa, I think we need to realize what we have chosen to adopt is really wrong. There are things that really should be abandoned, or we try to anyway. So that's the instruction. Okay, let's sing a song, and we'll just sing in Tibetan now. Kudan choma ngazon soin de son nan joy ge chingwai cheze nam ge bang sang lo zedang long je ken tra song di som nan jo ge ba che yin che ze nam ge bang zao lo nian da yuan da lo ma song de so nan jo yi shou de che ze nam ge bang zao lo chang dang ang hu ni dang song de so nan jo yi chong mo yi che ze nam ge bang zao dam dang ge mo de mo song de so nan jo ge yen wai che ze nam ge bang zao nama dang dang la de ba song 대소난조기 시대인 제세난게 조살로 왜내 조조조원송 대소난조기 가 제세난게 조살로 마의 미도 대와성 대소난조기 된초이 제세난게 조성 누가 주주런정송 대소난조기 개소이 제세난게 교선로 참회담에는 세송 대소난조기 남다인 제세난게 조선로 대소난조기 남다인 제세난게 조선로. Next is chapter 48, entitled Shendomo and Lesebum. So there's this couple, Shendomo and Lesebum, who were benefactors who had great faith from the very beginning. They invited the Jizun to Dharma. Immediately upon meeting him, Shendomo took Milarepa's hand and said, "Now that I have become old, I'm afraid of my impending death. I regret not having had the opportunity to practice Dharma in the presence of the Jizun," he said as he wept openly. This reminds me of the late Kemokara Rinpoche. Many of us are his students. And for the longest time, for decades, we all thought, oh, he will be with us for many, many years to come. And we just kept on thinking that. And then all of a sudden he left us. So it's like this, it's like the story of Shendomo. We're getting old. Kempo Rinpoche is used to say in his teachings at KTD, he sees his old students, they were all getting very old, in their 60s, 70s, maybe even 80s. And he felt like, really, time passed very quickly. But then he looked at himself and said, well, I'm older than all of them, So it's like that. Time flies, and, all of a sudden, we're all getting very old or somewhat old. And really, just like Shendomo said, I'm afraid of my impending death. And I regret not having had the opportunity to practice Dharma in the presence of the Jizun, in our case, in the presence of our teacher. The Jizun replied, "Benefactor, apart from the truly noble Dharma practitioners, the suffering of birth, old age, sickness, and death is something that all sentient beings will experience. If you have fear of death, then it will be fitting for you to practice Dharma at the time of death." Then he sang this song of realization. Of course, I think he meant not just at the time of the death, but, right now, before you die. So he sings, "As for us mundane worldly beings, there's not a single one who is without the four rivers of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Again and again, we spin in the ocean of samsara, and not realizing it, we're distracted by the waves of suffering." Suffering is a distraction, he says here, because it takes our mind away from what is truly worthwhile. In order to relieve ourselves from suffering, we do all sorts of things to make us more comfortable and happier. And that is a distraction from the really, truly valuable things that will lead us to complete freedom of suffering. While not having a single moment of happiness, through fearing we will suffer, we create suffering. So it's just like this. In order to avoid suffering, we actually create more suffering. And this is why it's a vicious cycle, which we call samsara. In hopes of gaining happiness, we engage in negativity. If you want liberation from this suffering, it's good to be free of bad conduct and negativity. It's fitting to practice the sublime Dharma at the time of death. So I think this is quite clear, and the same kind of theme has been running through all these songs. Okay, let's sing it. Mogo joa jindemba gega na jijuo shi jidu ma se guna yu kowe gya zo yang yang ku mi shen du nga wa la yin dewa ge ji mi da na du ge do ne du nga ju ge do je shin di ba che du nga de le da de na nian zhe le ba ba na le qi ka ha qu ye na de qi ka ha qu qi na de. The next chapter, chapter 49, has I think, yeah, I selected two songs. So this chapter is entitled Preparing to Have Joy at Death. How unthinkable that is, isn't it? To have joy at death. I think we probably haven't seen many people that are joyful at death or even heard about it. But this is what Milarepa is encouraging us. If you practice now, and if you practice diligently for the rest of your life, you will have joy at death. So the story goes, Rechompa asked, since my practice in secret mantras path of means here refers to, I don't know if it has a broader meaning, but it can be the path of the praxis of winds and channels. So my path of means practice has become stable. Is it okay to rely upon just a few sensory pleasures? So the path of means is also, I think, the main practice of Milarepa, the practice of Dhammo and the channels and so on. The Jizun replied, it is okay to use sensory pleasures to support your practice, but it's not okay to use your practice to support sensory pleasures. When I came from Maba of Lota's side, I had abandoned the 8 worldly concerns. The 8 worldly concerns meaning, happiness or misery, fame versus insignificance, praise versus maybe slander or blame, and gain versus loss. So these are the things ordinary people are concerned about. So the 8 worldly concerns. So just in Milarepa continued, he told me that his teacher Mabra told me that I should practice in reliance on a few sensory pleasures. I practiced accordingly, and because of that, some good qualities arose in my mind stream. You too should abandon the 8 concerns, and without thinking that you have any leisure for practicing, practice now. Then he sang this song of realization. Just like Mingyur Rinpoche always says, nowadays people are lazy and busy. So we always have excuses for not practicing, we're too busy. And so Milarepa here says, you think you don't have any leisure for practicing. Well, just as you think that, practice right now. So he sang, the Lord Guru's life story is impressed upon my mind. So Marpa's life example is impressed upon my mind. And I never forget his advice that was like Amrita. If you think you have leisure to put off the Dharma, you will miss your chance. That is so true. Mix Dharma with your mind stream and apply yourself in meditation. So I think mixing the Dharma with our mind stream is really the key to practice, not only during formal practice sessions, but also, day-to-day activities. We need to mix Dharma with our mind stream so that whatever we do, think, or say is not away from the Dharma, is all part of the Dharma, is all part of our practice. If you're attached to this life, the next life will be difficult. This is quite paradoxical, isn't it? We would think if we're attached to this life, then life will be easier because we pay so much attention to it, but it is actually just exact contrary. The more attention we pay to this life, the more attached we are, the more difficult it will become for us. To delight in temporary pleasure is a great hindrance. If you think you have leisure to put off the Dharma, that is foolish. Now he's scolding his students. That is foolish if you think you have leisure to put off the Dharma. If you fear your death, apply yourself in meditation. If you fear death and where you will be after death, then practice the Dharma. If you engage in negative action, you'll fall to lower realms. If you're deceitful and conniving, you'll just lose yourself. If you develop malicious intentions, you exhaust your merit. Our merit is hard-earned. It's not easy to accumulate merit. But one fit of anger can destroy a lot of our merit. Malicious intentions can exhaust our merit. So we need to be careful. If you want to purify your karmic results, apply yourself in meditation. If you wish to wear nice clothes, your outlook is confused. If you wish to eat good food, you'll strive in a negative conduct. So animals kill each other for food. Human beings harm others. They could go to the extent of harming others in order to get food and wealth. So this is what negative conduct means. We could end up in very negative things, just wishing to live well. If you long for pleasing words, you'll be wrecked by fame. We all want to be praised and want to hear nice words about us. But that is the very thing that will ruin us. Abandon the 8 concerns and apply yourself in meditation. If you wish for a rich patron, you will encounter enemies. If you wish to be surrounded by many retinues, you'll have great regret. If you want to amass many things, you'll have many wrong views. Make your mind harmonious with the Dharma and apply yourself in meditation. So all the things actually, a lot of people in the world spend all their life trying to get all these things. Milarepa here, enumerated them and said, these are all wrong, wrong things to pursue. If you can meditate, then realization will dawn in your mind. If you cannot, then you will just have empty speech and lies. Therefore, no matter how much we understand the Dharma, no matter how much we read Dharma texts and even enjoy reading them and understand all of the books about Dharma that we read, if we don't actually meditate and practice, then they don't do any good. And if you talk about the Dharma without having practiced, then it's just empty speech and lies. Since you don't have much time left to meditate, exert yourself in meditation without distraction. If you mix your mind with Dharma everywhere, you'll have bliss. Remaining alone is also excellent. It is excellent because if you mix your mind with Dharma, then everywhere, anytime, you'll be in a state of bliss. And that is excellent. My son, Richongpa, let your mind abide in the precious samadhi of clarity, emptiness, meditation. Clarity, emptiness, meaning non-dual clarity and emptiness, which is the essence of the mind. Okay, so we go back and sing the song. Jela me nam ta sem la ja song xiao da zhi zi jie zhi me xue long yue la xiao na ga wa qie qie rang yu la se na gong na gong Sedi la chana chima du chagi la gana pa che 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 long yue la shana len ba yi ran chi wei jin na gong la gong le dig ba jie na yan zhou dong sem yo so du na rang ni la rang sam ngen ge na se nam ze le na min zhou na gong na que sang bo kian de na wa chu se shin bo se de di che ren tam nian bo de na la kang do lo che ge bo la chu bo un de zha dang che ko mang be go de lo ge che so nga bo so de lo da ma lo che dang de ne go da Om nu na sem la do ba cha ma nu ka sha cha de sha yun ren bo gong no ma chi de Yeme gomla zembangi nurchudan jena kayande ranjibu deva jigyanja om sadong ge samde rimonche pore chonge senla neba. So the next part of this of the chapter talks about the fact that Rechomba still had a little bit of wish to be engaged in the things of the world. And so Jizum Minadoje thought of a way to discourage him from thinking that. So here goes. That he sang, Milarepa thought, Rechomba has only lessened his involvement with the 8 concerns somewhat, but his hidden faults have not been fully revealed. I must do this by inciting him to revulsion. So the next part of the story, you might remember from his honest teaching this week, I think it was this past week, when he encouraged everybody to abandon meat eating. And he told a story of Milarepa with Rechomba. This is the story. I happen to have picked this story before his honest teaching. So when I heard him mentioning this story, I was quite touched. Okay, so the story goes, when they came upon Nyano, where there were many butchers, the master and his disciple Rechomba went begging for alms. There were stacks of flesh, piles of animal heads, flayed skins displayed, and pools of blood collecting all around. Many sentient beings were tethered, waiting to be slaughtered there. And in the center of them was an old man from Men with a crippled arm. A large black sheep managed to escape the man's grasp, and as it ran, the sheep's intestines were pulled through a small tear in its flesh. Terrified, the sheep let out loud screams, limping and hobbling over to the Jizun and his son for protection. As the sheep's life came to its end, the Jizun wept with many tears and performed transference for the sheep. Transference, transferring the sheep's consciousness to the Pure Land or to the Dhammadhatu, placing its consciousness on the Bodhisattva's path. Then he sang the song of realization with unbearable great compassion. Emma is like explanation, like, oh my goodness, kind of thing. Emma, sentient beings of samsara, look to the path of liberation. Alas, these here with such negativity, such a shame, ignorant of karma in this human birth with leisures. They have come to be born with all the leisures of a human being, and then because they don't know about the law of karma, cause and its result, they are engaging in such an activity. How devastating is this killing of beings? How regrettable to have such self-delusion. How shameful, indeed, to kill one's parents. Indeed, all sentient beings have been at one point our parents. Could have been our past lifespan. We never know. So, what's to be done with this stacking of killed flesh? What to do with all this pooling of blood? Eating meat, however hungry one may be, such confused perception, thinking anything, such negativity without any compassion, delusive ignorance that's obscured everything. What can be done with such cultivation of negativity? He was, as Milarepa sang this, you can imagine how utterly sad he was, giving torment however they please, such wickedness of those who act this way. How shameful, oh, such sadness and heartache, so busy with negativity in all that they do. Later, they won't remember a single moment. They didn't think that was anything bad because, people need to eat meat, so I'm killing them to feed people. They didn't think they're doing anything wrong. But we need to know, and as we already know, probably, if we ate meat, each bite of meat means, a being would have had to be killed, and the suffering they went through just for us to have a bite of meat is unthinkable. When I see each such people, I fear for them. I think of those with such negative conduct, and I'm disturbed. Rechomba, doesn't it make you think of the sublime Dharma? How true indeed. If it does, then give rise to sadness and disillusionment towards samsara. If you meditate, go to mountain retreats. If you contemplate the Guru's kindness. If you escape something, escape from the root of non-virtue. If you let go of something, let go of mundane deeds. Again and again, in all his instructions, he's never said, oh, just go home and do good things, and that's good enough. Milarepa is not like that. He always says, go to the mountain. Don't stick around your hometown. Let go of all mundane activities. If you keep something, keep your promise to practice. If we want to keep something, we can't let go. Well, then keep your promise to practice. If you understand, then bring your life to the Dharma. Thus he sang. Then disillusionment and renunciation arose deep within Rechompa, and he wept with many tears. Lama, now I will do as the Guru says, and will abandon the 8 concerns and the provisions of food obtained through negativity. I will meditate. I think this is a very touching story. Really strikes the depth of the heart. Okay, so let's sing this. Ema kowe semjenan tarbe lama yadedon azama dije nireche leremo nirge yongwana Sherepan semjenge sarula Kyereche ranga golo Sureta pame chiluna Cheda chede chede Chire che chagi mano che sam de sha yi se lo la kane sam na we tu lo Tere che nin che me lo che zan che mon be Dimola Chire che de be sona So ye che de be Kange che yu ge ma jure ja gyo we ge lo che ran che de che ge de lo che ma ge je me je be me de ja to na nga re je de je nam chen xin lang wa zhu zhe xiong ba la jue xie chen ya chen na gyo xie ge ni long de gom na ri zhe ge ne so xin sam na la me ga jin song zhe na de jue za ne zhe dong na jie de ye xia wa tong zhe na zhu be tam jia song xie na me zhe qi la yu. Now, the next one is the last song that has to do with renunciation. There are two more songs after this, but one of them is dedication, the other is dashi. So they're kind of a different category. So chapter 58, Jashize. When the Jizun was a Bajo in Jin, there was a benefactor named Jashize who offered his service to the Jizun. At that time, there were many benefactors receiving Dharma teachings. They requested, please give us more Dharma advice that is appropriate for our understanding. The Jizun replied, if we will listen, I have many excellent methods to share. Will you listen? We will most certainly listen. Please tell us, they said. Well then, since this will be beneficial for you in both this life and the next, it would be excellent if you did this. Then he sang a song of realization. The song of realization in English is gur in Tibetan. Gur itself just means a song, actually. It doesn't necessarily mean song of realization. But because, Tibetans call songs that realized masters sing gur, that's why it's translated as a song of realization. So we're familiar with the book, that's called 100,000 Songs of Realization. In Tibetan, it's called Gurbum. Gur, as we just said, song. And Bun means 100,000. But that's a literal meaning. It doesn't necessarily mean that the book contains 100,000 songs. In fact, traditionally, collected texts are called Bun. The writings of a certain master is are usually called Gambun. Words, collected words. Words or works of the master. So here again, it's the same, Gubum, is the collected songs of Milarepa. So he sang the song of realization. Well then, male and female benefactors, if you want to cultivate the ultimate crop, and that ultimate crop is Buddhahood, and you will listen to what I say, and this is what I want to tell you. Every being will surely die. Simple as that. Therefore, it's excellent to practice genuine Dharma. Though you gather illusory wealth, it will slip away. Therefore, it's excellent to practice generosity. And this is a good opportunity for me to bring up again, please support the rebuilding of the Columbus KTC. They've raised a tremendous amount of money for the rebuilding, which is, I am so touched and very, actually, in a way, surprised how much they can raise to build it. $couple million, something like that. But still not sufficient. They still need our support and your support. So, listen to Milarepa, although you gather illusory wealth, it will slip away. So give it away, give it when you can. Practice generosity to support the Dharma. Though you've deep love for worldly relatives, they will part from you. Therefore, it's excellent to meditate on non-duality. Non-duality of many things, non-duality of existence and non-existence, non-duality of self and others, and non-duality of happiness and sadness, the non-duality of birth and death, all these. And they are non-dual because their essence is the same. The essence is emptiness. So meditate on that until you have, again, actual experience that surpasses intellectual understanding. Though you build illusory castles from earth, they will collapse. Therefore, it's excellent to keep to solitary places. Leave your home. The castles you built are unstable. The only thing that's stable is a solitary retreat place. Though you have food and drink for your body, it will all be used up. Therefore, it's excellent to accumulate merit. Use food and drink, to accumulate merit. You can eat and drink to support your body so you can practice the Dharma. And use whatever extra you have to accumulate merit. Make offerings with them. There is no end to conditioned activities. It is so true. And the more we engage, the more we need to engage, or are pulled toward more engagements. There's no end if we don't pull back. Therefore, it's excellent to abandon activity. Foolish speech will never be exhausted. Therefore, it's excellent to go without talking. That is why it's good to be in solitary retreat, because there's no one to talk to. And even in a group retreat, it's good to remain silent or to talk as little as possible. And in our day-to-day life, it's also nice to be a quiet person. Talk only when we have to. And if we do talk, don't try not to say meaningless things. This sounds easy, but it's actually very, very difficult, especially when we're in the companions of non-practitioners or even practitioners. We're pulled toward their conversations. We're pulled into their conversations, and we willingly or unwillingly, get sucked into conversations that are meaningless. So actually, in order to save time to practice, to do everything that is according to the Dharma, it really takes a lot of practice and patience and effort. But, this is all part of our practice. This is all part of our training. And we need to do it. If we don't, then we'll just keep wasting time and wasting our life away. The key instructions alone are like rubbing oil on skin. Therefore, it's excellent to follow a learned guru. Experience is like the moon shining upon darkness. Therefore, it's excellent to meditate like a flowing river. When one applies the instructions of the teacher in practice, then experience will arise, and that experience is described here like the moon shining upon darkness. not knowing the true nature of our mind is like being in darkness. Once the nature of mind dawns on the practitioner, then it's like moon shining on the darkness. These excellent 10 basic key points arose in the Repa yogi's mind. Men and women of Jin, this is your Dharma lot. Thus he sang, all the men and women. There are some misspellings, as you may have noticed along the way, men and women, not men and women. Benefactors there took refuge, aroused bodhicitta, dedicated and made aspiration. All of them developed a Dharma outlook. Many among them became meditators, and some developed good experiences. Okay, so another very good song to sing. So let's sing it together. Mingaye kala yinbana kyeba tanje ngeba chi deche tamche zena le gyume noze sagyang deche jinba dana le jide nyendun samgyang zha deche nime gomna le gyume saka zigyang je deche wenba dena le kamge sadon sigyang ze deche so so zena le duche le la simba me deche chawa dana le chema gamla seva me dewe mawa jena le danga baba nunguja lama keba dena le nyam nyo mba da sha ja chuwa gyun shen gom na le nge ba den gi do den jo nan jo re be lo la sha chen ba po mo che ga ze nanjo rebe lo la sha chimba poma chiganze. Okay, so we actually completed all the songs of renunciation. Now we come to dedication. So we still have almost half an hour left. We'll probably finish early, but that's okay, I think.
Yeah, Lama, there have been a couple of questions, and so we will have time, a little bit of time at the end. We have about 2 or 3 questions people have submitted. So yeah.
Okay.
If you're free for that. Thank you.
Okay. Maybe in that case, we'll take questions first.
Okay.
We'll sing the dedication and aspiration.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and read the 2 questions that have been submitted thus far. Okay. And let's see what's happening here. When Milarepa is talking about a yogin, talking about himself as the yogi or the yogin, is that the same as a yoga practitioner, or does it have another meaning? So I'm not entirely sure, but I think it, is it a yogi? Is it talking about a person who does yoga? And is there another meaning?
Yes, yoga nowadays has many meanings, doesn't it? It could be Hindu yoga or tantric yoga or whatever other yoga, I don't know. But here, I think it does not mean someone who does yoga, unless that kind of yoga is, maybe what we call the yoga of the path of means, as I mentioned earlier, the practice of winds and channels. Here, I think yogi means someone who, just like Milarepa says, goes to practice in a solitary retreat. That is what I think he means by yogi.
Mhm. Okay.
This is probably, excuse me, that's probably a more like a narrow and strict meaning of a yogi.
Mhm. So, okay. So the other question was, another person would like to ask um, about the sources of the melodies. Where do the melodies come from?
The melodies came from his own 17th Karmapa. He composed these melodies. If you go on YouTube, you may find other melodies composed by other people. Some of these very songs that we have sung actually, but they have different melodies, But these two melodies that we have used so far, the first one, which is different from all the others that we have sung. The first one is a melody by itself that we didn't apply in the other songs that we sang, because it's a little harder to sing for me, actually, personal reason. And the second melody is the melody we've been using all along. And there's in the Milarepa play, I think there are quite a few melodies composed by Sonis. If you're interested, I don't know what to do. I can probably try to share the entire album with all of you if you're interested. And these are all songs that are sung in the Milarepa play, directed by his Honest, and the screenplay, I guess you would say, was also, the script was written by his Honest, although based on the Milarepa's biography, of course. And so many songs were sung in that play, and they are all collected. I think they're all collected. I'm not sure if there's any missing in an album. And all the melodies in that album, I think, were all composed by Sonis. So these are some of the melodies that I think are very applicable because of the fact that, one of the songs, two of the songs that were sung have to do with renunciation. So I use those two melodies for this class. And later on, we're going to sing a third melody, which is a melody for aspiration prayer. That is the same aspiration prayer that was sung in the play, and the same melody that was used as well. So,
Looks like we have two more questions. That one is have any of the melodies we been passed directly through transmission from Milarepa's time?
if it has, I have not heard it. I wish I have heard it, but no, I don't know of any melody that has been passed from Milarepa's time, unfortunately.
And someone is asking, I think maybe you've answered this, but is the 2009 Munlam Milarepa play online somewhere to watch?
I really strongly encourage everyone who hasn't watched it to really go and watch it. I tried to search for it on YouTube. I didn't find it. You might be able to Google. I didn't try Googling. So you might be able to Google it and find it. If not, the thing is, it's like at the time it was like a 6-hour play.
Hmm.
And the two the 2 DVDs I have probably amount to about 4 hours or so. So it's not possible to upload. It's for based on the speed, Wi-Fi speed I have, it would not happen. So I don't. Well, let's think what we can do so everybody who wants to watch it can watch it.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful. I almost wanted to just show the part of the play where Milarepa sang some of these songs, so you can watch it visually and watch him, feeling completely desperate when he saw the pile of bones of his mom. I think that would be really, really helpful to our meditation and our renunciation. But I didn't venture to do it because, again, my Wi-Fi speed is just too slow for me to upload any kind of video. So didn't try it. When I have better Wi-Fi speed, maybe you can do it.
Yeah. A couple of people have asked other questions, but I also want to make sure that we give you plenty of time, Lama, to do the dedication. Do we have time for a couple more?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, a person, there are 2 questions. One is, has Milarepa been reborn as many precious teachers have been reborn?
Yes, he has. In fact, I don't remember the specific names of the teachers who were actually, emanations of Milarepa himself. And I'm sure some of them still are, they continue, he continues to emanate and reincarnate. So some of them are still with us at this time, I think. I just don't know exactly who, but I'm sure, yes, he has.
Another person asks about making up their own melodies. They're saying, is it important to use and get the melody correct? Is it important to get it correct? Or is it okay if we diverge or make up our own melody?
I think it's perfectly fine if you make up your own, or diverge is fine if you just sing it for your own practice, But if you want to share with others, and you're using his own as melody, I think it's better if you stick to the original melody. If you're going to share with others, or show them how to sing it, unless they understand that it's your version of the original.
Thank you. And now there's a person who wishes to ask a question on audio, and I think that's Kathleen.
It's just a quickie question. It was easier for me to say it rather than type it, because if I type, I can't hear you talk. I'm just curious at the booklet that you put together for us, Lama Lodro. Do we have permission to share this booklet with others who didn't take this class, or is this just for our own use and study?
I think it's fine to share it with others who didn't take this class, because these songs are readily available, and you can actually find them in the 100,000 Songs of Milarepa and in his biography. So they're not secret, and they don't require transmission, for anyone to read. So it's okay. The only difference is, it's only in English. Those books are either in English or just in Tibetan or just in any other language. This is the only version that has both English and Tibetan. But that's okay.
Okay. And then I'm going to pass along the comment by the person who asked about Zoom melodies. About the melodies. It says, thank you. Singing muted on Zoom makes it easier to go rogue and diverge from the melodies. Thank you. Thank you for passing that along, friend.
Okay.
Okay. This appears to be the end of the questions.
Okay.
So thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Lama, and thank you for the questions. Okay, so now we come to the dedication, and this comes from chapter 55 of the 100,000 Songs, and it's entitled "Final Advice to the Students of Nyano." So this is when Milarepa was quite old and not long before he passed away. So story goes, when the Jezun Milarepa, I don't know if you need the Jezun, anyway, when Jezun Milarepa, maybe, do you need the? When Jezun Milarepa was staying in the upper valley of Zarma in Nyano, several benefactors were fighting over the dowry of a new bride. So they came to the Jezun for mediation. And he said, have all people quarreling come to me. And they came and he gave them lots of Dharma advice and sang songs of realization. They then asked Milarepa to make a dedication for them. And the Jezun said, here, both the receiver of offerings and the benefactors have had pure, virtuous intention. Therefore, the dedication is present naturally. However, I will make a dedication to follow the example of the Buddha. You too should follow the example. Then he sang the song of realization. I don't really think the dedication needs much explanation. So perhaps if you could just read the English along with me, and then we'll sing it into them. Gurus, idams, and assembly of deities, please fulfill the good wishes of this dedication. I have the method of accomplishing Buddhahood for all assembled here without exception. Therefore, please act following my example. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and Sangha too, please think of me, the virtue of sentient beings such as myself, who practice generosity, discipline, and so on, within great samsara without any beginning. I rejoice in all these virtuous deeds. By this virtue that I practice here, genuine generosity, the ornament and wealth of the mind, which is the culmination of the yogi's merit, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of my masters, teachers, and parents. Until that is attained by my virtue here, while following the Mahayana Guru, may you have a body where you keep the 3 vows. May all wishes be accomplished, and may you not accumulate negativity with each other. Also, by the merit of this virtue, with life, merit, prosperity, retinue, virtuous activity, and so forth, in abundance, may the obstacles that cut the lifeline of liberation be completely pacified. Thus he sang, and signs of approval and well-wishing came from the heavens. So this is Milarepa's dedication toward the end of his life. It's mentioned here, keep the 3 vows. The 3 vows refer to the Pratimoksha vow, the Hinayana vow, the Mahayana Bodhisattva vow, and the Vajrayana Samaya. So these are the 3 vows. Okay, so as we sing, we follow along the dedication made by Milarepa and think that we make the same dedications, and also the merit that we have accumulated through listening and contemplating and singing the songs of Milarepa. We dedicate to all beings. Okay, now we sing the song of dedication. Lama yedam laso ye ngowe tunkyo sedo so sona maru tamje ba sangye juba chebe Ngala yube no se sangye chanchu senba dang gende dala gong su su da so sem jian tam jie ge 도매 고와 진보네 진앙 소진 공바이 개와 기세지라 다다기베 진바담바 샘기니 견당 요진남조이기 소소교대 밤마다 캔보로벤나소기 제도상계 도바쇼 마도바도다게디 대체나마데네 돔송네베르송데 일라드바 근조징 펜슨디소미제쇼 대양계종스남기 세당스남롱제 고당계종라소대 분송소가 담지기 달배소자주바이 바두주바시교. Okay, so finally we come to Milarepa's aspiration. This comes from his biography, not his 100,000 songs. Before passing into the realm of Abhirati, Milarepa said to people who gathered around him, this is just before he passed away. He said, I'm grateful for your faith in me and for the necessities with which you have kept me supplied. I have shown my thankfulness by wishing you well. And to benefit you, I have taught the Dharma to you. A mutual bond has been established between us. Now, since I'm a yogi who has realized the truth, it is my duty to make good wishes for peace and happiness, both temporal and spiritual, for the present time and for all eternity. Then the Jesuit sang the following aspiration. Again, I don't think I need to, explain anything, so we'll just read through and sing it. Father who has fulfilled his aspirations, protector of beings, Marba the translator, I bow down at your feet. All my disciples who have gathered here, listen to me. You have been kind to me. I have also been kind to you. Teacher and students have been kind to each other. May we meet in the realm of Abhirati, the joys. May all the donors here live long and possess merit. May perverted thoughts not arise in your minds. May all your wishes concordant or in accordance with Dharma be accomplished. May this land be auspicious. May there be no sickness and war. May there be rich harvests, increased yields of grains and joy. May all engage in Dharma. May all who have seen my face and heard me speak, all who recollect my history, hear my name or story, meet me in the realm of Abhirati. May those who emulate the example of my life and engage in meditation, those who transcribe, narrate, or listen to my history, those who read, venerate, and make offerings, or conduct themselves in the manner of my example, meet me in the realm of Abhirati. In the future, may those who are able to meditate because of the austerities I went through be free from all impediment and error. The ones who endure hardship for the sake of Dharma will have boundless merit. Someone who encourages others to do so is boundlessly kind. To those who hear my story of my life, there is boundless blessing. By the blessing of these three boundlessnesses, may the mere hearing of my story bring liberation, and may the mere recollecting bring accomplishment. May the places and rooms I have stayed and everything I have possessed bring peace and happiness wherever they may be. Just like earth, water, fire, air, and space pervade all, may I pervade all. May devas, nagas, the 8 classes of spirits, local deities, and spirits not bring harm for even an instant. May their wishes in accord with the Dharma be fulfilled. May living creatures, insects, and so forth, not a single one of them fall into samsara. May I lead them all to liberation. So we're very, very fortunate to not only have heard Milarepa's stories, but we have had the opportunity to sing his songs. So he says in his aspiration, by doing so, may they all be liberated. So may we all be liberated through having read and sung these songs. Okay, let's sing. This is a different melody. It's a melody again composed by Sonus for specifically for the song of for this song, song of aspiration. tarjin zhu wei gen zha gyur ma bei shang la zhi de cor sen ji fu long gun qian nam da la ga zhi da yang ke la ga jin che ga jin che nyam ba lo na ge shi du jia wo xu di xu yuan da tam jie yang ce ring se nam den bo xu sam ba lo ba ma ye xin xue zhi sam ba zhu ba zhu yu qiu de yang zha xi xin mi ne zhu ba mi da da lo le zhu he de ge de gun du che la che ba zhu da ge shao du zong zhe dang nam thar ila chen badang se nam nam da de se nam ge shing du jiao wa zhu kan shi da ge nam da da jue jing zhu ba qi ba dang 知是千年觉巴当，罗当家去不我当，南他祖心有啊能愿心度教我修，马翁康萨汤杰了，考点公巴。女子那弥陀嘎哇姐姐呗，开当可萨梅巴修，切切嘎图觉巴拉。se nam pa du me pa yu de la ju jing go wa la ga jin pa du me pa yu mi ko wa nam tha de ba chin ha ba du me ba yu pa me song ge chin la ge te ba zam ge zhou yu ne sam ba zam ge zhou ba zhou da ye ne dang ne ma dang me bo qi ba dang jie ge ka so yu du den ge xiu sa dang qiu dang me dang long nam ka chou wei ka kya ga ke shin da ge kya ga shu ha ru ta so de ge da 대신 시다 중번소 나와계시 민계시 삼바죄신 조바쇼 소샤 sembola so 직양골와 매동신 마르가이 젠바쇼 마르가이 젠바쇼. Okay, so we'll sing a shorter version produced by the 17th Karmapa for this particular song, the Milarepa's aspiration, and we'll listen to the recording that was from the Milarepa play in 2009. Of course, it's never old. You know, the song has existed for more than 1,000 years. It's not old, still very fresh, very inspiring. So Mila's aspiration, I'll play the song and let's sing along. Now we'll chant the supplication to Milarepa. Next page. Okay, so with this, we complete the 3 sessions. And I would again like to thank Columbus KTC for inviting me to give this class. Thank everybody for joining the class. And particularly like to thank Lama Kathy, who has been very kind in organizing the event and making things flow very smoothly, and sending files to everyone and things like that. So thank you very much. I hope to see you again in the future and share more of Milarepa's songs, possibly. Yeah, in the future, we'll see. But it'll be different. It'll be happy songs, I think. Yeah.
Well, once again, on behalf of the Columbus Karma Takes Some Choling Center, I want to thank Lama Lodro Lamo for bringing the songs of Milarepa to us today and helping us to bring them inside our hearts by singing them. I think there's nothing better. When I was singing the little Je Milarepa Dorje La Soa Depso, I remembered the very first time I sang it with Kemper and Bache, and it was a great memory. So it's like, you know, because he did it in Columbus a long time ago.
Wow.
So it's really, really lovely. I think it was
Yes.
either through teaching the songs or giving the empowerment. I don't remember which, but so thank you.
Wonderful. That was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry, it went over time a little bit, and
Fine.
I think it was time worth well spent and worth spending. Okay, so take good care, and I hope we will all remind ourselves of Milarepa's instructions, his songs, his teachings, impermanence, Defutulium samsara, the suffering samsara, and the urgency to practice diligently in this lifetime while we have all the resources and freedoms to do so. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks
you.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lama
Thank
Lodro
you,
Lama.
Lama.
Thank you,
Thank
Lama
Thank you.
Kathy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lama.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Lama. Thank you, Columbus KTC.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
you.
everyone.